Hi, it's Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media. We've just finished our port development session, and I have Kim Larsen from Abu Dhabi Ports here in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for welcoming me.
It's good to have you here and hear from you. Your remarks were great this morning in the opening session. So tell me, you had a number of ports from around the world on your panel today. Talking about how ports stay competitive, what you're looking at in the future to continue, with innovation. What does that look like at Abu Dhabi Ports?
So I think it was a great opportunity to be on the panel today because you had basically representatives from Saudi Arabia, from Oman, which is a very different play when it comes to the competitive field. So in Abu Dhabi, we have 9 ports in the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. We have Fujairah and we have a West African port. All of it is quite different, but you cater to, let's say, the local need of what that port can supply. And the same does, let's say, the ports in Oman and the gentleman from AM Steel, from Saudi Arabia as well. So every single port has its own captive market behind it. And typically that's the main driver of getting competitiveness. If you have customers that has import-export, that's typically where the shipping lines wants to go. So you're trying to add, the portfolio benefits for customers coming in, meaning that they can get this extra business. So in our case, we are having a quite diverse portfolio. So you both handle anything from containers to bulk to liquid bulk, and of course the break bulk as we're talking about today. And I think the good thing was that basically everybody on the panel had a pretty positive view of the future, mainly because the region is evolving into more projects, both on a national level in terms of, let's say, utilities, companies like desalination plants, energy and everything else, but certainly also the oil sector. The oil sector for Abu Dhabi is, of course, still the main driver. And even though we're trying to diverse the economy a bit more away from and be more dependent on industries, then the oil and gas is taking up a lot of space, especially on break bulk. So I think for us, it's mainly about making sure that we are paying attention to the customers and the capacity we're building is smart in a way that it's new technology, it's digitized, meaning that there's interconnectivity between customs and all the users, and making sure that the end-to-end solution is valuable. This is where I think the main driver is.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys are doing some really innovative work at Abu Dhabi Ports. What do you think is your most innovative project underway right now?
I think I wouldn't call it, let's say, the most new things, because you can say a lot of the technologies are existing. But to be positive about it, I feel that what we are doing is we're trying to combine, we are actually establishing a digital, let's say, part inside our company. In this way, we are combining basically 40 government entities into one single platform. So it goes a bit beyond the traditional port community system, where we want to make sure that any customer coming into the port, either from the land side or from the sea, has an ability to log on to a platform where you have the interconnectivity immediately. Hopefully we will avoid paperwork and all these kind of things and red tape so much in the future. But the evolution is about getting, let's say, business through the ports much, much faster than we do today. On top of it, we're adding new equipment, so the latest technology within port handling equipment and a new, let's say, terminal operating system, so a system that can support our operation. With this way, we have data available to also be more and more efficient, so we can commit to customers by saying we know exactly how many days it's going to take us to discharge your vessel. It's in this space we're talking. And I think by digitizing more our business, then there's more visibility to all the stakeholders in the supply chain. And I think the visibility has always been the part lacking in the past, where the ports were like, we protected our information and then other stakeholders protected theirs. But actually joining up and creating not only blockchain, but also creating ability to process cargo import-export via a port system in the UAE in particular, we believe that will generate more business in itself. And will of course lower the operating cost for the customers coming in. So that's where I think the biggest change will come from the past, where we were not digitized in the same way.
Well, it's very forward-thinking, and something that I've heard several times today, actually, from other people that I've spoken with, is that things happen faster here in the Middle East.
Yes.
Why is that? In a way, it's almost counterintuitive to me, because you think of such a long history, a rich culture, not really fast moving, but it's absolutely the opposite. We look at Dubai, we look at Abu Dhabi, what you're talking about right now. How do you explain that?
I think the main key, I see the same. I've only lived here for 3 years, so of course I don't have the full history on it. But I think my view is that I have compared it a little bit to what I have seen in China as an example. And the main reason for why I say that is that when you have the right people and have they made the decision that they want to invest in a certain development, could be infrastructure, could be systems, could be you want to implement a new process for the ports. Here you go and do it. And once the decision has been taken, it's going to be executed right away, even for very big infrastructure projects. That would never happen in Europe. It would certainly not happen in the US. And it takes a lot more time. And here, you're willing to actually, of course, it helps that there is money in society to support these initiatives. So at least they can afford doing it from a government point of view. And I think that is a key play. But the willingness is extremely strong in the UAE. So that's why you can say progressively every year you're somehow forced to come up with something new because you want to progress on the business. But I would say even an interesting point that I would like to mention is that we are even engaged on a government level to make sure how can we contribute better to the GDP of the country. And I think you don't have many countries where you are so actively involving all companies and bigger government entities to ensure that you really support the country, not only for the country itself, but also to make sure that for the well-being of the whole society is in place. And I think that is also a main driver here, that you really want to progress and you want to do it fast. You can't wait. So there's little patience when it comes to that, whereas the culture might be a little bit counterintuitive to that. But that's what I think.
I like that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us and some of the really exciting developments at your ports. It's great.
Thank you.